Hello and welcome everyone. In this video I'm going to be talking about soil medium, the different types and how they can be used. I also have some cuttings here which I'm going to repot in these pots here, just small ones. The idea is not to use a big pot first when there's only a small amount of roots, because it can retain the moisture. So I have 3 pots here and some Philodendron billietiae cuttings that have roots on. 2 of them do have roots and 2 of them don't, so I'll be leaving 2 of them to propagate more roots in water. I also have an Agleonema pictum tricolour which seems to be suffering. I had it in leca, which is clay balls. Now there's a bit of bark mixed in here, but it's mainly clay pellets. These are good for aeration. They hold a lot of moisture as well. It's ideal to have a wick in the pot so that it can draw the moisture up from the bottom, because what I've found is these dry out towards the top. So leca, just clay balls. I also have some orchid bark which hasn't been soaked. Normally you soak this and then mix it in with whatever medium you're going to use. So orchid bark, it's sold as in the UK, but it's just normal bark I think. I'm not sure what tree it's from. I also have some citrus mix which is quite dry, so I may be using some of this in this mixture, because I also have some potting compost. This is organic but it's very wet. I only bought this yesterday and I'm trying to dry it out, so I think that will be too wet to use just on its own. But what I wanted to do was mix some perlite, which I have here, which is also soaked. Now this is very messy, but it's in water, so I'll use the spoon for that. So citrus mix, it's quite dry and it seems similar, maybe a little bit more fine than the potting mix, the organic potting mix. And I also have some normal, this is for mature plants. This is John Innes number 3, and this is used for things like shrubs and roses and things, and it's just like normal earth really. It's really dry but full of nutrients. So I don't think I'll be using that. If the mixture that I'm going to make up now for these cuttings is too wet, then I may add a little bit of this in to dry it out, but we'll see how it goes. So first of all, what I'm going to use is a bit of this compost. 50% of this compost and 50% of the citrus mix, just to dry it out a little bit. Okay, so I think that's about enough. Now I have got 50-50 here, organic compost and citrus mix, but what I do need to do now is add about the same amount of perlite in there and hope that it doesn't go too wet. So what I'll do now is add the perlite. Now ideally I want 1/3 of each one in here. I could actually mix some bark in with it as well if it's too wet, but the perlite retains moisture and it's also good for aeration, which the roots of these plants do need. So I think I'll put 1 more perlite in and give it a mix, see what that's like. Okay, it looks quite dry. So what I may do is put some more perlite in, because I don't think the ratio is exactly 1/3 of each. Some more perlite. Could probably afford to put a bit of water in it as well. Another 2 of these. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Okay, that's looking quite good. I do have a moisture meter, but there isn't enough of the mixture here. You need to put the prongs right into it, 3/4 of the way up. So I'd have to put it into perhaps a plastic bottle that I've cut for the moisture meter to actually accurately read the moisture level. Now that's looking quite good actually. It doesn't look too wet. I think we'll go with that actually. Now the cuttings that I have here are the ones with the roots in that pot. They don't look too long actually. As you can see, there's a root coming off there, and if I turn it round there's another root coming there. Now they're not really ready to be put into soil. You could put them into, now I tried this before and it didn't work, and this is why I'm re-propagating these philodendron cuttings in water. I put them into the leca, and a week or two later I looked at the roots and they still hadn't moved. In fact, they'd diminished, the roots had, so it's not a good idea in my opinion. It may work for you and for other people, not to put the water propagation straight into leca. Okay, so we have that one. I'll just put it in there for a moment. Now this is the one that I'm definitely going to put into water, excuse me, into this mixture, because it has a decent root, as you can see there. You can get it. There we go. 2 roots and an aerial root that's turning into a water root. So 1 root there, 1 at the bottom, and an aerial root which I'll try to submerge into the mixture as well. Okay, so we have that one, can definitely go into the mixture. Now where shall I put this? For the moment I'll just put it back in the water. Now we have an Agleonema pictum tricolour, which is struggling. It has some decent roots on it and no root rot, but no leaves. Now it's going to struggle to photosynthesize, this is. I've had it again in the leca, and there was no growth on the roots. It just seems to be in a dormant stage. I don't know whether these plants actually get into dormancy or not, but I have heard that if you cut the top of the plant, it sends the hormone down to the roots to produce more roots. So what I may do is nip the top of the plant off to see if it will produce some more roots once I've put it into the new mixture that I've made. Now I won't do that right away. I'll just see if there's any activity first by just putting it into soil, into the mixture. Okay, so while it's in my hand, I think I'll do this one first. Now I'll put it into the smallest pot. I'll just put a little bit in the bottom. I'll just put that down there for a moment. Now this looks ideal, so hopefully this will work. A little bit of soil into the bottom, about 1/3 of the way down. Press it down slightly. It should be okay because the perlite will create some aeration in the mixture. Now what I'll do now is put the Agleonema pictum tricolour into the mixture. Now I don't want to get where the roots and the stem meet, I do not want that to get wet because it will rot. So I'm going to poke it slightly out of the pot. There you go. So I'm suspending it in the pot slightly. Now I'm going to add some of the mixture. Just turn it round, hopefully keeping it into place. There we go. And a bit more of the mixture in. Now we'll gently firm it down, perhaps even tap the pot on something. Okay, so I want it up slightly. I'm going to lift the stem slightly so that the bottom of the stem isn't underneath. There we go, I think we'll go with that. Just take that bit out. Okay, so there's the Agleonema in its new mixture. Hopefully that will work. Now what I could do is put some perlite on the top, but I will do that perhaps in a couple of days when this mixture dries out a little bit more. So okay, Agleonema done. Now let's have a look at these other cuttings. Now I think these are the two that haven't got much roots on them. Yes, I'm right. There we go. No activity really. There's a root starting to emerge on that one. I don't know whether you can see it. Just the white bit. Sorry about the shaking. Okay, and this one about the same. There's a root just starting to emerge there. It could even be a shoot, I don't know. But I will leave these in water for just a bit longer. I don't see anything else coming off that. They're not rotting, fortunately, so I am happy to keep it in water for the time being. Oh, and that one, this is the one that's got a bit more of a root on it, and I think that might be a shoot coming out. But it's got a root there, so what I might do is keep that in water for the moment. And this one that hasn't got any roots on it. Now this is the one. It has got some leca stuck to the root. I'll have a go at prising it off, but if it doesn't then I won't. No, it seems to have oh yes, I got it off. There we go. I'll be really careful with this. Bit of bark. There's another bit of bark there, and just two more clay. Yeah, that's coming off. Can I get this last one off? Yes. Okay, so that shows you a better, that's at least 2 inches long, perhaps even a bit longer. Unfortunately it's facing upwards, and the aerial root that's turning into a water root, don't know whether you can see that yet. So the end bit is white. Now what I'll do is put this right to the bottom of the pot and hopefully bring the soil level up to above where this root is and below that one. This should work. Okay, so what I'll use is the deepest pot, which is this one here, square pot. I'll just pop that back into the water for a moment. Put some of the mixture into the pot, again about 1/3 of the way down, just press it down slightly. Don't know whether you can see that, no, but it's about there anyway. Now to put the Philodendron billietiae cutting in, and you can see at the top, unfortunately, the new cataphyll that was poking out has started to rot. Well, I don't know whether it's rotting or what. Something's going on with it. You shouldn't really propagate when they're sending out a cataphyll, but I needed to do something urgently, and that's why the plant got cut up into sections. So if I push this down to the bottom of the pot, as you can see, the main root is below the surface of the pot, and the aerial root that's turning into a water root is also below the top of the pot. So now I can put some of the mixture in. Now if this doesn't work and I don't see any activity within, say, a week, I'll take it out of the pot and have a look, see what's going on with it. Turn it round, put some in the other side. Okay, that was looking good. Now there are 3 aerial roots above the one that was turning into a water root, which I do not want to cover with the soil. So they are just poking above the soil level. Hopefully this will stand up on its own. Yes, that's looking good. Okay, now with this cataphyll that seems to be rotting, I may end up cutting it with a sharp knife across there and hope that another shoot will come out of the side. Okay, that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Bye.